The buzz in the boxing world has reached a fever pitch, and it's all centered around one seismic event that's turned the sport upside down. For years, fans, analysts, and fighters alike have speculated about what would happen if Gervonta "Tank" Davis, the knockout artist with an unblemished record, faced a stylistic challenge he couldn't bulldoze through. His power, his speed, his relentless pressure, it was the blueprint for domination in the lightweight division. But on a night that will be remembered as a turning point, that blueprint was tested, shredded, and ultimately rewritten. The question on everyone's lips: how did Tank go from untouchable to undone? And why is Floyd Mayweather, his former mentor turned bitter rival, reveling in every second of this chaos? Let's set the scene. It's March 7, 2025, and the boxing community is still reeling from a bombshell dropped by the New York State Athletic Commission, NYSAC. Gervonta Davis, the man who'd built his legacy on being an undefeated destroyer, is no longer undefeated. His majority draw against Lamont Roach, a fight that already had fans and pundits divided, has been officially overturned into a loss. The scorecards from that night originally read 115-113 in favor of Davis from Judge Eric Marinsky, while Steve Weisfeld and Glenn Feldman both scored at 114-114, resulting in a majority draw. It was a close call, no doubt, but one that left a sour taste in the mouths of many who felt Roach had done enough to dethrone the champ. Now, with the NYSAC's ruling, Tank's pristine record of 31-0 has been stamped with its first blemish, 31-1. And the man celebrating harder than anyone? Floyd Mayweather. To understand how we got here, we need to rewind to the night of the fight itself, Davis versus Roach, a clash that was controversial from the moment the final bell rang. Tank, known for his devastating knockouts and ability to finish fights in spectacular fashion, came in as the heavy favorite. Roach, a skilled and gritty underdog, wasn't given much of a chance by the casual fanbase. But those who knew boxing saw the danger: Roach's movement, his volume, his heart. He wasn't there to be another highlight on Tank's reel, he was there to win. And win he did, at least in the eyes of many, even before the commission stepped in. The fight itself was a war. Roach came out firing, throwing more punches, landing more cleanly, and putting Tank on the defensive in ways we hadn't seen before. Tank, for his part, relied on his power, landing those signature bombs that have sent so many opponents to the canvas. But this time, it wasn't enough to close the show. The scorecards reflected the closeness of the bout: 115-113 for Davis, 114-114 twice. But the crowd at the Barclays Center and the viewers at home weren't convinced. Social media erupted with cries of robbery, and even some of Tank's staunchest supporters admitted that Roach might have edged it. "I thought I won," Roach said in the post-fight interview, his voice steady but brimming with conviction. "I thought I did enough to get the victory over a spectacular fighter. I told y'all from the beginning I got the skills to pay the bills, and I'm just glad I got to show it." Then there was the 9th round, the moment that would prove to be the fulcrum of this entire saga. Tank took a knee. It wasn't a slip, it wasn't a push, it was a clear moment of distress. The entire arena saw it, the cameras caught it, but inexplicably, the referee didn't call it a knockdown. Tank later claimed it was grease from his hair getting into his eyes, a flimsy excuse that didn't hold water for most observers. Whether it was sweat, grease, or just exhaustion, that knee should have been a point in Roach's favor. It was the difference between a draw and a win, and it's the moment the NYSAC zeroed in on when they decided to take a second look. Tank, for his part, stayed cool in the immediate aftermath. "It was a good night for the sport," he said, shrugging off the draw. "Didn't get the decision I wanted, but we didn't get a loss either, so I felt like I won it. Lamont's a great fighter. Hopefully I can get that rematch, cause I know what I can do." When asked about the draw staining his record, he brushed it off with a mix of defiance and nonchalance. "It just adds fuel to the fire, but it's cool. You live and you learn. I could have picked it up when I was supposed to, and that's on me." But that calm demeanor wouldn't last long, not once the commission made its move. Days after the fight, with the controversy still raging, the NYSAC announced they were reviewing the bout. Boxing fans held their breath. Overturning a decision like this isn't common. It takes clear evidence of a mistake, and the 9th round knee was the smoking gun. After deliberation, the commission ruled that the knee should have been scored as a knockdown. With that adjustment, the scorecards shifted, and Roach was declared the winner. Tank's record was no longer spotless. The man who dodged losses against the likes of Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Shocker Stevenson had fallen to Lamont Roach, a name that will now echo through boxing history. The fallout was immediate and explosive. For Roach, it's a career-defining triumph. He went from a respected but overlooked contender to the guy who handed Tank his first L. "I appreciate the true boxing media, the ones who didn't count me out," he said, savoring the moment. "I can't wait to dance again. For Tank, it's a gut punch." His aura of invincibility is gone, replaced by questions about his preparation, his heart, and his future. And then there's Floyd Mayweather, who's turned this loss into his personal victory lap. The bad blood between Floyd and Tank goes back to the days when Tank was Floyd's protege, his mini-me. Floyd handpicked him, mentored him, and molded him into a star under the Mayweather Promotions banner. Tank was supposed to carry Floyd's legacy into the next generation, a perfect heir to the throne of the man who'd retired undefeated at 50-0. But over time, that relationship soured. Tank grew restless under Floyd's shadow, tired of being the little brother in a dynamic where Floyd held all the power. He wanted to be his own man, make his own moves, and when he finally broke away from Mayweather Promotions, the gloves came off, figuratively and metaphorically. The cracks had been showing for years. Floyd would drop subtle digs in interviews, questioning Tank's discipline, his work ethic, his circle. "He's not training like a real champion," Floyd would say. "He's surrounded by yes men." Tank, in turn, fired back, claiming Floyd was jealous of his rise. "He feels like I'm about to pass him," Tank said in one heated exchange. "I'm doing it at a younger age than he did." The tension simmered, occasionally boiling over into public spats, but nothing hit harder than this loss. For Floyd, it's vindication, a chance to say, "I told you so." For Tank, it's a wound that cuts deeper than any punch Roach landed. So how's Tank handling it? At first, he was silent, likely processing the unthinkable. His undefeated streak, the cornerstone of his identity, was gone. But once the reality sank in, he took to social media with fury. "This decision is an absolute joke," he posted. "Boxing's rigged against me. They're trying to take food off my table. Y'all gonna see me back real soon." And to Floyd, "Don't worry about me. Worry about your own shit. You're not my boss no more." The defiance was clear, but so was the hurt. This wasn't just a loss. It was a personal attack on everything he'd built. What happens next? One word: revenge. Tank has no choice but to run it back with Roach. His reputation, his legacy, his entire career hinges on erasing this stain. A rematch is inevitable, and it's poised to be the biggest fight of the year. For Roach, it's a chance to prove the first win wasn't a fluke. He's got the power now, dictating terms for the sequel. Vegas, Saudi Arabia, wherever it lands, the stakes couldn't be higher. Tank didn't lose in the ring, he lost on paper, and that's a bitter pill to swallow. For fans, it's a dream scenario, a close, action-packed fight begging for a second chapter. Did the NYSAC make the right call? It's a debate that'll rage on. Some say they corrected an injustice. That 9th-round knee was a knockdown, plain and simple. Others argue it's a travesty, robbing Tank of his legacy over a technicality. The truth lies in the gray area, as it often does in boxing. One thing's certain, this story is far from over. The rematch looms, Floyd's shadow lingers, and Tank's fire burns hotter than ever. Boxing history has been made, and the next chapter promises chaos, redemption, and maybe a little more Mayweather pettiness. Buckle up,